welcome to Interesting People. My name is James, and today we have Mr. Nanda Pavaday. Nanda has spent almost 3 decades in the brand and advertising space. In late 2018, he created a Facebook page called Tizistwar Nou Pays to share nostalgic memories from Mauritius. Stories that our age, people like myself can actually relate to. Today, Tizistwar has amassed a following close to 15,000 people. And a week ago, Nanda published his first book, also called Tizistwar Nou Pays, available in Mauritius, and that will soon be released on Amazon. Mr. Nanda Pavaday, welcome.
Hello.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
So for those that don't know the man behind the page, can you share with us who is Nanda Pavaday?
Okay. Like you say, I've spent 3 decades in advertising. I would rather you said more than 2 decades. So people don't get my age. Like, I've been working in advertising for a long time. My job in advertising is to think and to write. And curiously, I've never liked to write. I've always enjoyed thinking, watching my coffee go cold and think, and get ideas. So after a long career in advertising in some of the biggest companies in the country, I wanted to do something where I can contribute what I believe is my skill. It is sensitivity, ideas, ability to connect with people. So that's what I wanted to do. And but it is not always easy to find a platform where to express yourself. And based on this, I've been trying and trying. At one time, I started my own company, and we worked for 7 years, and then it became difficult where I'm not a company director. I'm more of a thinker, a creative guy. So I have been trying till eventually I started my Facebook page where I used to write jokes regularly, and it gathered a following. Based on this, one day a newspaper in the country approached me and told me they wanted to give me a full page in the newspaper to write whatever I wanted. So I started writing jokes, and after some time I realized maybe I can use a full page to write stories about Mauritius. From this, Tizistwar Nou Pays really started. First thing I wrote was the story of my mother, who is here in the crowd. I wrote her story, a lot of people liked it, and really told me they cried and so on, really. So another time I wrote about a cyclone in Mauritius in the good old days, and people related to it. So this brought me closer to starting the page on Facebook. So when the newspaper that was publishing my articles closed, I was already in a sort of routine of writing a story every week. On Sundays, when my family would go out, I would stay at home and write. So I thought, at least I'm doing something good. I want to keep writing. So I kept on writing, even though the story was not being published. From there, I went to meet people to try to sponsor a book about Mauritius in the good old days, but it didn't happen. Then, when the year 2018 was coming to a close, I thought, I've written so many stories. Now they are here in my drawer. Maybe I should do something. That's from where I started the page, Tizistwar Nou Pays.
I want to bring you back to an earlier stage before you got into the communications business. How did you actually discover that you had a gift for communication?
Honestly, I have never had any interest in writing or even communicating. I did my degree in economics, and after my studies, I came to Mauritius, and for 1 year I was jobless. I tried everywhere, I couldn't get a job. Then one day I went to see my friend. His father had just done a surgery. He took a vacancy in the newspaper and told me, why don't you try this? So I sent my application. They wanted someone with imagination and so on, so I wrote something imaginative. They called me for an interview and told me they wanted to give me my chance on trial for 3 months. So that's what I did. But for me, the first day I entered into advertising, I knew, in the moment I knew this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. So it was great, like seeing people writing, drawing, mounting up artworks and so on. So even though I had done a degree in economics, I turned away from economics and started in the job of an advertising creative. I use my knowledge in economics only when I have to negotiate my salary. Okay, but for other than this is what I did.
It must have been, excuse me to interrupt, but it must have been interesting for your parents to know that you went to do economics and then finding yourself in a highly creative environment, which I couldn't find two fields more disparate.
Yes. No, we need to know, like, again, not 30 years back, but 25 years back, advertising was not popular in Mauritius. People didn't even use to say advertising, they say réclame, publicity. In Mauritius, réclame is a local word, we say just publicity. So when you say you are working in advertising, people will tell you to prefer réclame. So it's like, okay, this is something you do, it doesn't require any skill to do advertising. So it was very difficult to convince people, no, I mean it, I want to do this. People would often come to me to say, hey, there's a vacancy for teacher in economics in this college, why don't you try? In the ministry, why don't you try? I did 5 years like this. In my first advertising agency, we won a lot of awards and so on, but it still didn't occur to people that this is what I'm doing and I want to be doing. Then, after 5 years, I joined another company. They were looking for creative. From then, things changed. Like one day at the awards night, I won a lot of awards. So people started saying that, hey, this is something, this is a what do you say, profession. There are some skills, some method. And my way of doing advertising has always been this, trying to prove that there's a method. I think when I came here and met you, this is where we connected. We are both from a more engineering background. I studied economics, but I also studied a lot of physics in college. So I want to know how things are working. So even advertising, I would never do an advert that says, this is red because it is red, this is blue because it is blue. I always want to know what is working and what is not working. So it has helped me in this way. So this is how it went. After some time, there was a method. There's a strategy, a creative, and an execution. For me, it's clear. You should not start from this here. This is what you should. Before every advert, I try to get it. This is the way we have to proceed. This is what we are trying to do. So this way, I became a person committed through this method.
One of the things that I did find really interesting in our early conversations have always been around the emotional connections that people have with each other and communicating that expression to create friendships and relationships, which to me is part of advertising. Is that the sort of things that you also enjoy?
Yes, so this is like, I don't know, it's like the magic that happened. I started doing advertising and communication because I had no other job. I tried to understand what was going on and tried to do things that was relevant. But after some time, it sort of made sense to me that it is about sensitivity, about emotions. So at a certain point in your thinking, you have to make the jump, you have to connect. So this part came naturally to me, and I opened up to this. Like, I can write things that people connect with. I can think out ideas that people connect. So I think this has been my, I would say, lifeboat in the profession. I know whatever I'm trying to do, at some point I will be able to do something that people connect with. So I have never been able to write very well, but I know what people like. So I eventually come to something that people like. So this has happened this way. I agree with you, it's about emotion, sensitivity, all the time.
And if I had to say one word that describes who Nanda Pavaday is, what would it be?
I don't know. But I think, I like to think that I'm a mixture of my mother and my father. My mother is very disciplined and resilient, and she knows what she wants to do, and is very systematic. When we will eat the cakes, you will see. And my father is very joyful, was very joyful, very happy, always singing and laughing. So, like all my brothers who are here, we are a mix of these two. Some a little more this, a little less this. So me also, I'm like this. I'm a lot like my mother. I can spend days not talking to anybody and just working. And like people who are here, Jean-François and others, they will hear me singing, whistling, and so on. So this is this inner joy. And I think this is important to have something good inside of you that you're contributing to people. Mm-hmm. Eventually, even the best form of creation or writing, people have to know who is behind. And it is with this person that they connect. And so if you have something good, well-meaning, people connect with it.